Hey there, it's Allison coming to you live from Amelia Island, Florida. So excited to be coming to you on this Tuesday. It's evening. It's 5:20. It's evening. To share a little bit about marriage. So if you're just bumping into me, I want you to know that I am just a regular gal and I have a passion for living a happy, healthy life. And I jump on here a few times a week to just share some information with you. And I always hope that it adds value. And I know it adds value because I just got a testimonial today from an acquaintance of mine who saw a live that I did, an interview that I did with Sylvia Martin last week. And subsequently, she scheduled a call with Sylvia and had an amazing experience. So I know that that interview gave her great value. So that's why I come here to just offer value to you in whatever way, shape, or form that may take. So let me start off by saying to you, I am not a marriage expert, okay? I have been married for 18 years. David and I have been together for 19, married for 18 years. Maybe should that make me an expert? I don't know. But I'm not an expert on marriage. I will tell you that David and I have had some rocky years, some really difficult years where we didn't think we were going to make it, where we considered throwing in the towel. But we did the work, and I'm happy to say that we have a happy, healthy marriage. Now, it's a constant work in progress, but we are a happy, healthy couple. So if you're watching this and you are, you're going through a rough time in your marriage, and I'm doing this because I know a lot of my friends are married. So, but if you're not married, but you want to be married, or maybe you're getting married, I think this will be a good live for you too. So, funny enough, a friend of mine sent me a video today that she just kind of randomly happened upon, and she was watching it while she was walking her dog. She's also a married woman as well. And she said, hey, I think you'd like this. The guy's name happens to be a Canadian guy, so of course I'm going to like it. Anyway, I do have an affinity for Canadians, as you know. So his name is Brad Browning, and he's on YouTube as The Marriage Guy. And you can find him on Facebook under Brad Browning. He has a website called bradbrowning.com. And he also has a website called mendthemarriage.com. He did this short video. It's under 10 minutes long, and it was 7 tips to save your marriage. Now, for time's sake, I'm going to give you 3. But if you want the other 4, let me know and I'll send the video. So could I easily post this to Facebook? Sure, I could, and let him, you could watch that. But what I do know about Facebook is that they don't really like when you just post YouTube videos. So it gets less reach and less engagement. So they like lives better. And you all know I like to do lives. So I'm going to give you a few of my takeaways and 3 tips from Brad's video on 7 tips to save your marriage. So he says, well, let's talk about the honeymoon phase. Anybody remember the honeymoon phase? Maybe you're still in the honeymoon phase. Lucky you. It doesn't last forever, right? The honeymoon phase will generally kind of fade away. So many people feel like they've married the wrong person. Anybody raising their hand? Ever feel like that? I'm here raising my hand. I've had moments in our marriage where I felt like that. And I don't feel like that anymore. Because let's face it, it doesn't matter who you marry. You're 2 flawed human beings, and you're gonna have conflict. Now, the only caveat I'm gonna add here is if you are in an abusive marriage, if you are being physically abused, emotionally abused, verbally abused, financially abused, whatever, then I'm gonna say, if you're experiencing that, please confide in somebody you trust and go get help. So I believe that marriages, you can work on issues in a marriage, but when there's abuse happening, that's tough. And like I said, I'm not a marriage expert, so please go get help. All right, so it's not so much as, being married to the wrong person. It's doing the right things with the person you're married to. I love that. Doing the right things. If you're stuck in, I married the wrong person, if you stay stuck in that tape, then how are you ever going to get on the other side where you realize that you just have to do the right things with the person you're married to make your marriage better? And I'm going to give you 3 tips on how you can do that. Number one, analyze yourself. Last year, I did a coaching program with an incredible human being out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, named Jamel Lindo. and he has an incredible coaching program. It really made a big, and it was not a marriage program. It was like a self-development program, but it had a massive impact on our marriage because I learned things about myself and certain things that I get triggered by. And I started to become aware of those things. And it taught me how to take a step back when I was being triggered. My first step was to recognize it. So when I recognized that I was being triggered, I could step back and say, oh, okay, it's happening now. And I could kind of look at the bigger picture, take a step back, take a few breaths. It made a huge, huge difference. And David saw the difference in me as well. So analyze yourself. A common assumption is that it takes both partners to save a marriage. And Brad Browning doesn't believe that it's true. Now, if you have a partner that's done, doesn't want to be in the marriage anymore, checked out, then perhaps whatever you do isn't going to help. But he believes that it is possible for one partner to make positive changes in themselves after you've analyzed yourself. And the change that you make will, over time, don't expect it to happen overnight because it won't, but over time, those positive changes that you've made in yourself will have a positive impact on your relationship. You're likely involved in some repetitive behavior patterns with your partner. So when they do something, you always have the same reaction, right? They say something, you have the same reaction. They do something, you have the same reaction. And it's just this behavior pattern that you've created, but it can be broken. I remember so vividly early on in our marriage, and David still does this, but early on in our marriage, David is a leave the socks on the floor kind of guy. So there were always socks on the floor. And it used to drive me insane. And I would nag and nag and nag and nag and nag. But guess what? The nagging never worked because he kept leaving the socks on the floor. And I'll tell you something, one day I had a little light bulb moment and a little voice inside my head said, if the socks aren't there, he's not here. And that was it. I never cared about the socks after that. And funny thing, because many years down the road, we got this adorable little puppy named Scotia, who has an obsession with socks, especially his papa's socks. So perhaps that's why David needed to have the habit of leaving the socks on the floor, because Scotia will go look, he'll eat his breakfast, he goes to look for the socks. He brings the socks out, never harms the socks. He just likes to carry them in his mouth and then he just drops them around the house. So if you come to my house and there's socks around, you know why. So just understand that you're probably embroiled in some repetitive behavior patterns, but you can break those. He says, take a frank look at your own behavior. It's hard to do that. It's hard. You probably know somewhere inside that you do something that you probably need to change. So he says, take a look at your own behavior, how it may be impacting your marriage. Figure out the steps that you need to take to change that behavior in yourself, and then decide that you're going to change. It's fine to figure out the steps you need to take, right? So you recognize the behavior issue that you might be having or the behavior that's impacting your marriage negatively. You figure out the steps that you need to do to change it, but then you need to decide to do the work to make the change. That's the hard part, but it's valuable and it's worth doing. All right, tip number 2, give yourself some you time. My girls in the house watching this video right now, I had a conversation with my friend about this today. For women, that is a challenge, because for women we have, and I'm sure that not all women feel like this. And if you are a woman out there that has conquered this, let me know. I'd love to chat. But as women, we feel like we have to take care of the chores, take care of the house, take care of the husband, have the meals cooked, take care of the kids if you have kids. We're putting everybody else first and not taking time for ourselves. And I have struggled with this. I feel, and I even told her today, like, I want to get to the point where I don't feel selfish taking the time for myself. But let's face it, you can't be a good partner if you're not a good you, right? You have to take care of yourself so that you can fill your cup, so that you can just be a good partner. Because when you are taking care of everybody else, you are depleted. And then you're going to get grumpy and crabby. And so it's okay to take care of yourself. So find the things that light you up, the things that give you rest in some way, and schedule those into your week. Brad talks about hearing the statement, I need space, and how that can trigger some anxiety. If your partner says to you, hey, I need some space, you might be like, oh my gosh, what does that mean? Does that mean like he or she's leaving? I don't know. That's not necessarily a bad thing in Brad's mind. It might mean that you're just kind of overcrowding your partner, suffocating your partner, and you need to take a step back and you need to give them a little bit of breathing room. Tip number 3, I love this one. Love this one. Take a time out. Humans are hardwired to win. They want to be right. Have you ever had a fight where you just knew you were right and you were pounding it home? It's like, I'm going to win this argument, right? Brad says, look, if you find yourself in a heated discussion that you know is going to escalate and going to get ugly and it's really not going to be beneficial, you have to have an agreement with your partner to say, okay, this is escalating. This is getting a little heated. Let's take a time out. Let's just table this discussion for another time when we're calmer and more clear-minded. And that's certainly been a challenge for me. David is a person that likes to, I don't want to say he's not argumentative at all, but when we get into a discussion, he's like, he should have been a lawyer. He's the kind of person that can just throw things at you and I kind of feel bombarded. And then what happens to me is I do what's called stonewalling. So I put the wall up where I basically just stop communicating. And I know that that's unhealthy. So we've had to kind of obviously learn each other's communication styles over the years. So he now knows that if I'm feeling like overwhelmed in a conversation, then I'm like, okay, you know what? I just need a breather here. I need to go kind of take a little walk or, collect my thoughts and I'll come back and we'll have this discussion later. And usually that works. And we can come back and have that discussion in a calmer fashion and be much more productive. So those are the 3 tips that I wanted to share with you. He does talk about money and sex, the 2 hot topics, the 2 biggest issues in a marriage, money and sex, and why a lot of marriages break down. He does talk about those and has tips for both of those. So if you are interested in seeing that video in its entirety, let me know. I'll send it to your inbox. And it was good. I enjoyed it a lot. I hope you got something out of this video today. As always, I hope wherever you are on this Tuesday evening, you are feeling happy, healthy, and well. Until next time, peace out, my friends. Take care.